Hello everyone, welcome to a landmark FPL BlackBox. Mark, it's 100 episodes. It's 30,000 subscribers. We're in the suits.
I saw fireworks. Yeah, you haven't got a tie on though, and I've got a bow tie on. What's going on? You haven't made an effort, It's absolutely disgraceful. I turn up for the first time in 6 weeks, and you haven't got a tie on. What's going on?
I was saying before we came on, I saw your tweet earlier. It was like, I haven't got time to dress up today. I'm struggling to even make it. And I was like, he'll put his tux on.
What do you mean? I'm not dressed up. I'm always dressed as the man in the milk tray advert permanently, and so this is dressing down. Actually, no. No, well, so I'll tell you what. I bought a tux for the BAFTAs because I left it too late to rent. Not like me, is it, to believe things at the last minute? So I had to go to the BAFTAs. Just they had to have me there, and
not for BlackBox. We're not there yet.
Not yet. And I had to rent a tuxedo, and then they said, "Oh, well, when's your event?" I said, "Oh, it's Thursday." They went, "Oh no, you need 2 weeks' notice." I'm like, "What do you mean? There's some over there." So they said, "You're gonna have to buy one. 350 quid this cost me." So I said to myself, "I'll tell you what, this could double up as something I wear on the 100th show."
Imagine that's why I'm wearing it. Imagine if you hadn't worn it and you had 350 quid tux sat in your closet tonight.
Exactly, and I went to the BAFTAs and we won sod all. So yeah, so I had to wear it tonight, didn't I? I had to get some money's worth out of it. So.
On our award-winning podcast, you can wear your tux. Yeah. It's been a good ride, isn't it? Up to 100.
It has many a memory.
What's your favourite? What's your best?
Oh God, no! Oh, so many. I mean, the match of the days, obviously, incredible. First ones as well. When I look back to the first ones, and I was doing it in my front room with crappy mics.
Yeah. Do you remember the first one we did? And afterwards you were like, "As I'm buying your mic, I can't stand your sound."
Yeah, and now, like, you know, we take some pride in the tech we use, and it's not perfect, but it's better than it was then. Favorite episode? I mean, the live stuff's great, isn't it? When Trent Alexander scored that.
And I went out the room. That
was amazing. And I got sent a mug to commemorate that. I've still got that indoors. My partner hasn't yet thrown that onto the floor to smash it like all my other football mugs. That one's still in one piece, unlike my FBL royalty one that FBL merch sorted me out with, which smashed. Dishwasher accident, apparently, so to speak.
Yeah, just like all the rest of them.
Yeah. VAR needs to be called there to see if that was caught on camera. But yeah, it was that the live episodes are great, obviously. I mean, it's hard to pick out on regular episode that I enjoyed, really.
I think it says a lot about us that my favourite moment is you and Ferran Torres, and your favourite moment is me and Trent.
Seeing each other in agony.
Misery breeds misery. Well, misery breeds happiness in our case.
Yeah, I just think like it's been great, and it hasn't seemed like 100 episodes, has it? It's not seemed like a kind of toil to get to this many episodes. Someone has said to me, "Are you going to do 100 episodes of the podcast?" You'll be like, "That sounds like hard work." Yeah. It hasn't been though, has it? It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. It is hard work at the moment because I can't get any time off. But yeah, more on that later on, I'm sure. But
we're lucky, we've been lucky with the guests that have stepped in. Luke taking the reins for a bit last season. Obviously had Andy on last week. Andy North.
Yeah, but you can't. Praz. Andy, slippers. You mean you can't win them all, but you know,
it was 10th choice, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Scraping the barrel.
Yeah, no, they've all been great. I've been really grateful, and obviously when I had the illness as well, people who filled in during that time. It's all about me missing episodes, isn't it? Which is a shame, but it's just at my stage in life, my health and I'm not what I used to be. I'm fading basically, so I have to have stand-ins every now and then so I can recover. But yeah, so I'm very grateful for people who step in and keep things going, and you of course has for
thank you. Yeah. The new host of BlackBox, because I've taken the hosting reins.
Yes,
these days.
Yeah, or anything could happen in the next hour and a half.
And I am most likely going to get through this bottle of prosecco on this stream.
Wow!
So cheers to everyone. Thanks all for watching.
Oh, you have got a glass. I was just going to neck it from them. Savage. Yeah.
Very tempting. We have got a lot to discuss because I mean we haven't done one of these together for a while. You've been soaring up the ranks. I mean up to 509. K now. I'm a 213, so we're both on course to have potentially quite respectable finishes, maybe top 100k for both of us is on, isn't it?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think that I've got to aim for that, haven't I? Strange, isn't it? Because I guess in a way it gives me. It's not been a great season, and at the end of the season, I won't look back at it as one of my best by any means. But actually, it makes you think. I was like 4 million in game week 19 or something. So like to go from 4 million in game week 19 to like possibly in reach of a 100k finish would be good. It would be great, and it makes you realise. I think no matter where you are at any one time in FPL, there's always hope. There's always hope you can kind of make up ground, especially this season when it looked. I've got to say, the first half of the season, it didn't look like making up ground of that kind of level would be possible because Haaland was dominating the captain and the template was looking strong. And, there's a lot of talk about, content creators like setting trends that more and more people are following, and therefore it's harder to kind of break out of that template and whatever the community bubble is. It's true. It's all true. But, I've managed to make up ground, not by... And I think I've taken crazy. If anything, I took crazy risks in the first half of the season, if you could define it as that. Don't think I've taken too many in the second half, and yet I have made up ground. Obviously, it's chip territory. Once you get into chip territory, you expect to like make up rank, don't you? Because you know that this is the advantage that the kind of
it's a good week this week, wasn't it, for bench boosters? Average 20 points on people's benches, probably something like that. Even players like Odegaard getting the assist, Ben White scoring a goal. Lots of Kane returning. Lots of the single game week players came in. It's only really Saka and Maddison that kind of let people down. And Bruno and Shaw as well. Okay, there was a couple that were.
What were my two transfers?
Yeah, I mean that's quite bad. I mean, between us, we bought in Maddison, Bruno, and Shaw, who all did nothing in the double game week. So pretty impressive. We got loads to talk about. We've got I'm potentially wildcarding this week, so we've got that to discuss. We've got all the stats to talk about as well, and we don't have a sponsor this week. We're keeping it clean for the 100th episode.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, so basically, I'm going to get hacked in the coffee shops, and my pubes are going to get out of control. Basically, fair enough. Okay. Oh dear.
Out of context, that if you'd have told me Mark Summers would be saying that on the 100th episode of FPL BlackBox
in a tuxedo.
In a tuxedo, I've got to clip that somehow. Let's go for our game weeks quickly. I was leader of the pack this week, 145 points.
That's big.
Big score. Took a hit as well, which did not pay off. I mean, how I can take Saka out, who gets 1 point, for Maddison, who plays, the majority of 2 games, doesn't get anything, and actually that hit wouldn't have been worth it, is ridiculous. But anyway, that aside, it was pretty good. Points from Trippier, Botman, Chilwell, Salah, Rashford, McAllister captain, Matoma, Watkins, Tony, and a bench of 22 points. Couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, it worked, didn't it? I mean, I think like most of the scores from the bench boosters were in the 120 plus mark. So I guess it's in more. If you tried to be different and you didn't play your wild card and then follow up by the bench boost 1 or 2 game weeks later, I mean, you didn't play the wild card, but you built to it. If you didn't do that, if you're like, well, I'm not gonna wild card game week 29, it probably cost you. So again, I guess it's confirmation that the kind of community bubble that we're in got it right, and a lot of the scores in the community were really strong. I don't think I mean, obviously, if you didn't bench boost, you probably didn't tweet your team, but every team that I saw tweeted out got 120 plus, or unless they didn't play a chip. And then if you didn't play a chip, it's even better, isn't it? I guess if you got 120. So yeah, strong scores all round. It kind of, it's a good game week. And I gained rank, but it's kind of like when you see all the other scores on Twitter, you kind of go, yeah, okay. It's a bit of a meh game week, isn't it, in that respect? Because you feel everyone's done well.
The thing is, it's a meh game week in terms of the people around us, but in terms of where we are in the ranks, it was a huge week. So I went up nearly 200,000 places. You had a pretty significant rank jump as well. And yeah, I think that's the other thing. It's kind of confirming that not everyone is in that kind of bench boost like bubble. Not everyone was getting 120, 130 points. If I look around at some of the other leagues I'm in of people ranked around me who've already used those chips, they're getting 90, 80, 90. And then you've made up 50 points in 1 week. So these weeks are the big swings. And this was, I think, it was a memorable double game week because, everyone kind of did well. So yeah, it will go down in kind of the record books as being a success. That strategy, I think, for people who wildcarded and bench boost. So yeah, congrats to everyone who benefited from it.
I got 334k game week rank. You must be in the top 100k game week rank.
I was 12k going into the game yesterday. 36k in the end.
36k, yeah.
Rashford scoring hurt a bit.
Yeah.
And McAllister over Matoma, but I can't complain. I mean, it's a massive score. So yeah, I'll take that. You got 129, so 20 points. Put back on the thing. Come on, I've got to stay ahead of you. I mean, your transfers were a disaster, though, weren't they? Yeah,
I mean, I took a hit for Shaw, Gabriel out to Shaw, and Odegaard out for Fernandes, so a loss.
Unbelievable.
And you wouldn't have thought that, would you? I mean, Shaw and Bruno were two very popular transfers, and they kind of come down to, like, at the moment I'm getting, I'm cheating people by being on here, really, by saying like I'm getting like a half an hour a week to kind of consider my transfers, which is basically it. I'm getting Friday evening to sit down and go, right, what shall I do this week? Whereas normally I'd be thinking about it all week and procrastinating and looking at models, and I'm not able to do that at the moment. So I've got to say Bruno and Shaw were kind of like obvious transfers. They were the very popular ones that a lot of content creators were pushing, a lot of community people were doing, and I looked at it and thought, well, I can't see much wrong. Obviously, I looked at Casemiro being suspended and was like, okay, what's the impact of that? And perhaps I didn't spend long enough considering that. I thought Bruno would play deeper. I didn't think he'd be playing centre back, which is what he did last night. He was very, very deep. So I think that the impact of that suspension was a lot. Casemiro being absent had a bigger impact than I expected, shall we say. But I really should have considered that more.
It wasn't just for this week, though, was it? Because obviously they've got the extra.
No, they got Everton, and that was
2 extra games coming up.
That was definitely playing into it, and the other 2 transfers I would have done would have been Zuma and Salah. That's the other 2, and that would have worked out better this week. But then, Salah's not necessarily fit for the Arsenal game, and we'll see. I mean, Luke Shaw definitely looked like a better bet than Zuma, didn't he? So the 2, Shaw and Bruno, or Zuma and Salah, it was close, and I went for the United pairing. Didn't pay off, but there's still the Everton game to come. I mean, Shaw's injury is a bit cruel.
Yeah. It was a great week in terms of like results, wasn't it? Because I mean, we there's no point in going through all the fixtures because everyone knows what happened. But I mean, a 5-1 victory for Newcastle against West Ham, and them then beating United as well. Establishing them back and their Champions League kind of credentials as well. I mean, Liverpool making all those changes against Chelsea as well, and obviously Chelsea having sacked Potter and Bruno being their manager as well. My favourite player managing probably my least favourite club, which has been bizarre. And we can talk about Lampard coming in.
I know, it's bizarre. I was like, I've not played football that much attention, and but someone tried to tell me that Frank Lampard was manager of Chelsea. I was like, oh, shut up! I've not taken.
Yeah. Of course he is.
And then look, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And then, I mean, City thrashing Liverpool, Brighton and Brentford's 3-3 draw, which was one of the most incredible matches I've ever watched, I think, in terms of the chances and oh God, I mean, that game just had absolutely everything minus a red card. Spurs, their performance after Everton went down to 10 men and the way Everton managed to claw a point, that Michael Keane goal, it's like this week just had everything. It was such an exciting week of football. And when it ties into a decent FPL week as well, it kind of reminds you why we play it and why we enjoy it so much. Yeah,
big scores as well. It's quite nice for everyone to be in the hundreds when we hit 100 episodes, so quite fitting. But yeah, there's still some game weeks to go now, and you've got your wild card to play. It'd be really interesting to see how that works out for you, because what you sent me is quite interesting. You'll be setting up for 34, and you should go into 34 with 11 doublers, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it'll be interesting to see how much of an advantage you get from that when you get there.
It feels a bit meh. I mean, we'll talk about the wildcard in a bit, but I mean, I can target City. That's the most exciting thing, going in with triple City when a lot of people are moving back to Haaland. I'm able to triple up on them. And they're playing Southampton, home game against Leicester. I know it's sandwiched in between those 2 Champions League games, but that's as good a fixture as it gets. Away at Southampton and home at Leicester. To have triple City in those games is quite exciting. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. Great and the good. Let's just cover this off quickly. I mean, everyone's doing well now. It's really shifted around. You're still second from bottom, but on 509k.
The scores this week.
I know you're closing up on Magnus had a shocker. 87.
He did. I can catch him, can't I?
13 points. I know.
So, he's promised to come on the show if I finish above him.
Has he, or did you make that up? Was that a dream?
Don't know. In my head, that's what he's promised to do. Yeah.
Is he still playing? He hasn't given up, has he? 87 seems very low for him.
So you're saying that the only reason I'm catching him is because he's given up playing?
Yeah, pretty much.
It will still count. It will still. Hey, look, there's only 47 points between us. It's not over yet.
Oh, I know. I really need this wild card to pay off so I can just extend that, because it's a bit of a nervy time at the moment. But it's an interesting week. I mean, look at all the different captains. There's some Brunos, some McAllisters, Matoma in there, a couple of Rashfords, even Savanish went for Maddison. It was a good week to kind of test it, but obviously some did better than others. Bruno as a differential didn't work out, nor did Maddison. Matoma did well, matched Rashford, I think. McAllister, where we were, was kind of somewhere in the middle, but it's nice, isn't it? It's nice that people are going a bit different and trying new things.
But fascinating again that if you look at the top half of the league, you can see that I'll just go Rashford.
Just go Rashford, yeah.
Whereas you go below halfway and suddenly you're looking at Brunos and McAllisters and Maddison, right? So you can see how your rank and your appraisal of how happy you are with that rank would affect your decisions, because obviously Rashford's come out well, Matoma even better. We went McAllister, as did Magnus, and obviously Tom Freeman in there wants to push as well, and it didn't work out. But you can see how how rank affects your decision making.
Shout out to FPL Harry, took a -12, really went for it this double game week. Now I'm in the top 1k for the first time, and he's obviously played the game for a long time, catching up to Ben Crellin as well, only 4 points behind him, both nestled snugly in the top 1k. Yeah, hoping that they both finish in the top 1k at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's brave, isn't it? I like to see that. I mean, taking a -12 when you're in the top 1,000 already, gutsy. Like to think if ever I was in that spot with 8 game weeks to go, I'd try and do something like that. I don't know if I would, but Harry's certainly showing kahunas, as they like to say.
Nice. Yeah, very good.
No mention of Manscaped at that point.
They should be paying us for this one. That's 2 now. Managers. Let's talk about the managerial merry-go-round. Luckily, I didn't have to add Steve Cooper to this list because he's been once again backed by your owner. But then there was some that weren't so lucky. So Vieira's gone, and Roy Hodgson is back and got his win with a last-minute Mateta goal. Potter's out. Lampard's back. I mean, what is happening in the league? Why have we gone back to like 2 or 3 seasons ago? Rodgers is out as well. Leicester finally had enough of him. And then you've got, David Moyes hanging on by a thread probably as well. Cooper has been backed, but if results don't improve...
It's too late now, isn't it, for West Ham Forest to change it? You got to go with it. I mean, I guess Forest's point of view, it should be anyway. Forest's point of view should be, well, if we go down, there isn't a better manager to take us back up again. Whereas I guess with West Ham, they could try and roll the dice because Moyes isn't necessarily their long-term solution anyway. But as a Forest fan, I think we've got.
Brendan and Potter there is a bit of a carrot, isn't it? Because if West Ham, yeah, I mean West Ham potentially going for one of those, Leicester going for Potter.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Did you chuckle when Potter?
I did. Yeah. I don't like seeing a manager get sacked, but it softens the blow when he's been paid off with £20 million or whatever it was. 21 million. I'm sure he'll be all right. He'll come into another job, and I'm sure he'll rebuild himself. I do think that job was impossible for kind of anyone to take over, and I think managers are wise not to take that job now and wait till the end of the season and get into the summer. I actually think Lampard's not a bad appointment until the end of the season, because they can't just give it to Bruno. I mean, he's not a manager. He's got absolutely no experience whatsoever. They made way too big a deal of his whole I never picked a team sheet thing. Obviously, he hasn't picked a team sheet. He's never been a manager. Why did he pick a team sheet before? I think Lampard's all right. He knows the club. He did well at Everton when he had to galvanise them and get them kind of going again. And then there's no risk, is there? Because at the end of the season, they bring in a Nagelsmann or a Pochettino, whatever. So It's funny, like it's good banter that he's come back in, and all the Lampard memes can come out again. But seriously, as Lampard would say, it's all right. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it kind of makes sense because you want to bring someone in who's got that affinity to the club, and there's no one better than Lampard for that. I guess it's just, yeah. And what's their objectives now? Can they? They can't really push much, in terms of achievements this season. I guess they can afford to take a risk.
Get top 10.
Get Europa League, yeah. Might get Europa Conference. They'll settle for that. No, I mean, it's been.
Oh, I love it.
It's time for Chelsea.
I just love that this new owner came in and they were like, right, that's it. All of that managerial merry-go-round stuff of the past, that's gone now. We're building for the future. 7 months later, out he goes. Lampard comes back in.
It is a bizarre turn of events, isn't it?
Is.
I don't know what Leicester are doing. Are they going to get Potter? Because they obviously didn't have a plan B, did they? It's like
I'm telling you, they're going down. The hell going down, Leicester.
If you sack Rodgers and you don't have a manager standing, but like if Forest did get Cooper out, which I really hope doesn't happen, I'd like to think that Mariakis wouldn't do it without having someone standing by who he was convinced could save the club from relegation. I think at this point, I don't think that manager exists, which is probably why Cooper hasn't gone. I'd like to think Cooper hasn't gone because of his achievements and what the supporters think of him, but I've got a feeling it's probably because Mariakis can't find a replacement who he thinks could save us. So if you're Leicester, though, you'd think they'd have that person ready to come in, and they haven't. So,
I mean, there is options. I mean, there's Vieira, there's Potter, there's Brent, there's it's not Brendan, it's just sacked him. But I mean, Potter. I think Potter has. I read somewhere that Potter's turned it down, though, right? He's willing to take a bit of a break.
No, I don't think Vieira would go there either. I think. I mean, the fact that Maddison blanked twice. Again, it kind of the narrative that I don't think there's unity on the pitch. I think they're struggling. I mean, Maddison is that one player who can make a difference, and he's not having that impact at the moment, or he's certainly not having the output. Yeah, they're in trouble. They're in trouble, and West Ham didn't look great shakes either. So, I mean, as a Forest fan, I'm not giving up yet, mainly because the teams around us aren't that great either. But at the moment,
I think you're going to stay up. I think it's going to be Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth go down.
I don't know. I just don't see where
I saw that probability matrix that Sky put up, and I think Forest were like 65% or something, one of the highest. I think them and Southampton were pretty much done.
I don't see us staying up, but you know what? It's okay, because I think we'll go down with the parachute money. We'll sell Brennan and Morgan Gibbs White for a lot of money. We'll get some good loans in, and we've got a nucleus of a squad that should come top 3 or 4 anyway, without even adding to it. So, and we've got one of the best managers in the Championship to get us back up again if we keep Cooper. So I would be very, very optimistic of coming back up if we did go down. And that maybe that's part of the journey we've got to do. So, yeah, so be it. It's fine.
Very optimistic. Very good. Turning attention to FPL wise, here is Ben Krellin's graphic for the remaining games. It's pretty scary. It all fits quite neatly on one slide like this. We literally have 9 game weeks to go coming into game week 30, and then we've got a blank in 32 where we're going to see quite a few free hits played, and then the next biggest double in 34, which looks, I mean, to be fair, I think the 34 double looks quite good with Brighton, Liverpool, City, United, and then West Ham and Fulham in smaller case as well. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting run-in, isn't it? I mean, there's so much to talk about, really. Yeah, I mean, start with Liverpool, I guess. I mean, what do we do with their kind of assets? Do we start investing in them now ahead of this Game Week 34 match? They've got an amazing record against Arsenal at Anfield. I don't think it's going to be a walkover for them. What did you make of the Liverpool lineup?
Bizarre. I don't know what the basis of that was at all, because Chelsea were beatable at Stamford Bridge. A full-strength Liverpool could have got a win there. I don't know really what he's trying to do with that. Is he just trying to preserve the team for Arsenal? I guess that's what you've got to think. But
I think he was making a statement, wasn't he? He was so unimpressed with that City second half.
Yeah.
And I think he was just like, look, you all think you're, untouchable. I'm just going to get the lot of you out and just play the complete B-side and see how they go.
It's a bit erratic though, isn't it? And all is not well there. I mean, I know they've had ridiculous luck with injuries and a lot of upheaval, but I do also think that, looking in from afar at what's gone on at Liverpool this season, there's been indications that Klopp perhaps hasn't got not the support of the dressing room, but something is wrong. Something is wrong with either the chemistry or the makeup of the dressing room at the moment, and Klopp's ability to put a team out that plays in the way he wants to play. Something's gone awry there. The connection between Klopp, the team, and the supporters is not what it was.
They seem very unbalanced to me, like the team. Like they're so top heavy with all of those signings they've bought, but the midfield just looks so. I don't know. I mean, Thiago and Fabinho obviously class players, and then you can add in Elliott and people, but you take out one of those, and suddenly, what have they really got in midfield? I mean, Milner, Keita has been absolutely awful basically since he's signed. And that's it. There's no Chamberlain. I mean, he's going to be off in the summer. He's been a disappointment as well. I mean, not his fault because of the injuries, but losing Wijnaldum was massive for them, I think, and then losing Mane.
I mean, like Mane's massive, and obviously he got them through some games. He pulled them through matches, sort of vital goals, 1 penalties. Have they had a penalty yet? They have had one penalty.
One, and Salah missed it.
Yeah, and Salah missed it. Trent has been the shadow of his former self. I mean, he hasn't looked happy on the football pitch all season. What's to blame for that? We don't know. Van Dijk has regressed as one-time world-class centre-back, now pretty average Premier League centre-back, which is, you wouldn't have seen that coming. Matip hasn't been himself at all. Matip and Van Dijk look like one of the best centre-back pairings in the country, and now they're nowhere near that, and Matip can't get in the team. So many things have seemed to have just faded or gone wrong, and why is that? Has Klopp lost his grip on things? Has there been outside factors? Don't know, but something's gone awry there, and I mean, it's going to take a reset, I think.
Yeah, it's funny how that's affected three of the top clubs in the country: Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs. You know, all of this season have regressed massively based on what we've seen them in previous seasons. Whereas Arsenal, with the youngest squad, have rebuilt and are playing amazingly. City, obviously, still absolute top tier. And then United in this transitional phase, sometimes great, sometimes not. But yeah, I mean, for that, you know, I think what this year's made me realise, though, is just how ridiculous it was when Leicester won the league. Because I look at Brighton this year and I think, we've got a great squad, we're playing amazing football, we might challenge for the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. But imagine if Brighton were challenging for the Premier League. Like, how the heck? Leicester winning that year was just such an incredible sequence of things, isn't it? Because even this year, when some of the top teams are struggling, there's not a Leicester at the top of the league. It's still fighting for the Champions League.
No, I guess Newcastle is the nearest we get at the moment.
Yeah.
The team are probably overachieving. I mean, they've got the backing, but they haven't yet. I don't think they've got a top four squad yet. I think that's a lot to do with Eddie Howe and the chemistry that's found there, and the support, which obviously that crazy support gets the most out of those players. So I think he's got a good set of players, but I wouldn't have looked at that squad and gone, that's definitely top four. No. But they look like they're going to come top four quite easily. Yeah, it's just been a very odd season. And I think, you know, what is odd about Liverpool is we saw them absolutely dismantle Manchester United. And again, you thought, this is Liverpool breaking out of it. They're going to go again. And then they go and lose at Bournemouth. Yeah. So they've had their moments this season where you think, they've snapped out of it. You know, when they thrashed Bournemouth at home after starting really slowly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, earlier in the season. We thought, that was Liverpool.
Oh, the classic 9-0.
Yeah, I mean... So they've had some moments where they've looked like they can skittle teams and blow them away, but then they've just regressed back to what is a team that has been, it's faded glamour really, isn't it? Liverpool at the moment, it's not what they used to be. It's been very odd for them, and it's made it hard from a fantasy perspective because, you know, we've never really been able to back Trent and Robertson or the Liverpool defence all season. We've only really had Salah as an attacking option. We dallied with Darwin, but that didn't really come off. And
we had Diaz at the start of the season, but now there's Gakpo and Nunes and injuries.
Going into the double, you're looking at this double and thinking, well, it's Salah, isn't it? I guess, and you might want to captain him ahead of maybe a City or a Brighton player. But what else? Would you load up on Liverpool even with those fixtures? I don't know if I would.
Well, according to the Scout season ticker, Liverpool have the best fixtures between now and the end of the season. You know, after this Arsenal game, they play Leeds, they play Forest at home, they play West Ham. That's three really, really good games. I mean, they've got an awful away record, and they play Leeds and West Ham away. But then it's the 34 double, 2 home games, Spurs and Fulham. and then a run in of Brentford, Leicester, Villa, and Southampton. I mean, it's a great run. I mean, to have Forest, Leeds, West Ham, Southampton, Leicester, all within this last stretch. It is and no Champions League to worry about. It seems like a really good time to invest in them. But if Klopp's willing to bring the changes like he made, the other day, and we're not really seeing any standout performers in the side, it comes with quite a lot of risk.
There's no coherency in the team, is there? There's no kind of constants. There's no consistency, and so that impacts our thinking when it comes to fantasy. And loading up on 3 players, it looks valid given the fixtures and the talent that they've got, individual talent. But when you put them together on the pitch at the moment, that individual talent isn't adding up to goals and wins. So I'll probably try and get Salah and at least 1 Liverpool player, maybe 2, but I don't know that I'll go hit crazy and try and get 3 Liverpool in, that's for sure.
Yeah. And Salah wasn't training today. I don't know if you saw that
from
Anfield Watch.
Yeah, I did.
So that is a concern, especially for me, because I've got him.
What are you going to do if he is a doubt? You're not going to sell him and then get him back, are you? So you've got to hold it through it, haven't you?
Well, I'd probably wildcard, to be fair. Spread the funds around.
And you wouldn't get him and then you set it up to get him in ahead of 30. Yeah, I guess that's the advantage you've got. I mean, I think if I was in your shoes, you'd have to do that and then hope he doesn't play. I mean, even if he plays against Arsenal.
I mean, the thing is, my transfer this week is locked in, getting Haaland back. So if Salah's then out as well, then I'm looking at hits, and then I'm just thinking, I might as well just play that chip and just get in the players I want. So in some ways, I kind of almost want him to be injured just so that I can have the kind of excuse to play the chip. Because if he's fit, I probably wouldn't do it.
Right, okay.
But yeah, we'll come to that in a bit. Let's look at some data. Let's look at team data. Attack. Last 6 matches, Brighton. We're still at the top. 2.33 expected goal non-penalty per 90. That is, it's just not. Our fixtures get a lot more difficult from now on. But we've seen Brighton perform really well against the big sides. The likes of playing Spurs and United don't really worry me that much as a Brighton fan. I think we can. The Spurs this weekend, we should do them over. They're poor. They were so poor against Everton. We should be winning that game. We really should.
I don't want to spend any more than 30 seconds talking about Brighton, to be honest. But
Forest the 20th of the attacking data.
Yeah,
so
we'll get to them in a minute. It's De Zerbi, isn't it? And his brand of football, it's there, it's instilled, and it's every week now. They're playing with the handbrake off, and it's great to see. And the FPL, unlike Liverpool, the FPL assets have all delivered. And if you went in big on Brighton, you've had your reward.
It's rare, isn't it? It's rare for. You look at Ferguson even scoring in the double game week. You look at all the midfielders returning. You look at the defence returning. The goals, even still getting an assist in that first game. Yeah. It was like whoever you invested in Brighton paid off. Yeah, and that is a rare thing, I think, in FPL. So yeah, we're the darlings of FPL now, Brighton. Apparently, look at the top 4 though. Brighton at the top of 2.33. Then Newcastle, that's come out of nowhere because they were right down the list. Obviously, the 5 goals against West Ham helps, 2.13. Arsenal, 2.07, and City, 2.05. Then there's a drop-off down to 1.59, and that's Villa. But Villa have been absolutely relentless, haven't they, under Emery? What a job he's done.
Yeah, and Emery, I wasn't his biggest fan when he was at Arsenal, and I'd kind of raised an eyebrow. Or 2 when he got the job at Villa, and he's been excellent. He's I don't think he's made sweeping changes. He's made subtle tactical changes. He's getting Watkins. He's getting a tune out of Watkins, which is obviously a massive thing. We always thought Watkins as a player, he had the raw talent. He was just very inconsistent and lacked composure at times. But it's just clicked for him under Emery. So I don't know what Emery's done with him to kind of get that regular goal scorer out of him, but.
He's blanked once in 10 appearances. In 10 games, Watkins.
And he is absolutely a captain candidate this week. And given his consistency, you've got to consider him. So props to Villa. Now that Dean Smith's not there, I don't mind Villa doing well. It's just when he was there, it really would have pissed me off.
He was. Well, I wonder is he managing the team now? Is he back?
I don't know. He lives in the real world, not a fantasy world.
He does.
So I don't know.
Because we live in the fantasy world, we don't know where he's at. It's probably the championship somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know where he is. He was most recently.
He got sacked at Norwich, didn't he? So I don't know where he went after that.
Yeah, no, he's not a club again.
But I don't think he's got 21 million to console him. I'm like,
like Potter. Oh God, I still can't believe that. The amount of money they spent getting him and sacking him, and honestly, seeing Bruno managing Chelsea in that game is one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my life. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Bournemouth in 7th. I've highlighted them just because I was a bit surprised by their attacking numbers in this. They're a funny team, aren't they, Bournemouth? Because every week you feel like they should be the whipping boys, but they kind of do all right. I mean, obviously they beat Liverpool in that game. Their attacking numbers aren't that bad. They had a couple of chances against us as well. We were lucky to keep a clean sheet in that game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of investment in them. And look at the chance per 90, 9.67. But when they do create chances, they're creating quite good chances, and that might be enough to keep them up. Maybe I still think they're going to go down though.
Yeah, they've never really been a team that have tempted us to invest. Solanke got some traffic, didn't he? But that's about it. The keeper maybe, but yeah, I mean they've done all right. And I thought they might fall adrift, but it hasn't happened, and so they're very much in the mix, and they may not go down. And they've got the spirit, and they've got one or two players who can win a game for them. I'd rather be. You know what? I think Forest have got a better team and better players, but I think that at the moment Bournemouth have got a way of playing that can get them results, whereas Forest, certainly away from home, don't have that. So that's the difference. I think Bournemouth got a system that can get them results. It might not be pretty, but it's effective. Whereas, I look at Forest, I think we've got perhaps better individuals in Brennan and Gibbs-White. I don't think Bournemouth have got players in that level, but we're away from home. We're so feeble, and that's why we're at the bottom here. We just pose no threat away from home.
Yeah, I mean, your bottom Southampton are 19th as well, cut adrift from 18th. Palace. I mean, I highlight them because they're the teams where you want your defenders to play against them. It's why Stones is appealing, or Ake against Southampton this week, and it's why the Villa defenders are enticing as well. Tyrone Mings, so cheap, good option this week. Moreno as well, I like him.
I think we'll score at Villa though. I think we will score. Yeah.
Okay. We'll come on to your predictions.
We won't win, but we'll score.
You get one. Okay. Defensively, you're better. Defensively, you're 11th mid-table. That's nice. Just below Liverpool in 10th, which is surprising as well because Liverpool's defence in the league hasn't been too bad. It's their attack that's been struggling. Maybe a little bit more. Obviously, taking away that massive game against United, which is just such an anomaly. It's ridiculous. But City at the top in terms of defence, 0.68. We see that so often. I was surprised to see Spurs in second. 0.8 over the last 6.
Yeah, is this correct? Because I'm just wondering. I'm just going to check. Last 6, I'm pretty sure we shouldn't be there. I think over the season, this might be the season's 8. I'm just checking.
Well, it says last 6 matches on the left.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't do the cutouts. You did, so
I couldn't cut out a different last 6, could I? That last 6 is from the table, not from my own.
No. I'm just team data. Is this team data defence? Is it team data defence? Yeah, no, it is correct. Yeah, I apologise. Yeah,
you have little flavour. I didn't do this after a bottle of prosecco,
No, I was going to say, yeah, I just can't believe that we're mid-table for defence. But I guess we're not considered as many chances. But yeah, Spurs. It's very surprising to see them up in second.
And Palace in 4th. I mean, it's a weird table. Kind of makes a mockery of the stats a bit.
United are second bottom. They've been down there for a while, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've been conceding.
That'll clear up a bit when that Liverpool game goes, because that was obviously a complete disaster. West Ham have been dragged right back down into it as well after all the goals against Newcastle. I don't think there's anything like too amazing here, but it does really put, the City defence has been really hard to tap into. But I am all on John Stones.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I'm all on him. I think he's a great option between now and the end of the season.
He probably, when I was looking at City defence, he was my favourite option. Then he got a bit of a knock, and it meant me. I think I ended up going Ake instead, but I always preferred Stones as a player, and I think Pep does as well. I think Pep sees him as a regular starter.
Well, he's dropping into midfield now.
Yeah. I like him. I think he's a good. If you want a City defender, and I guess it's just whether he plays both games in the double, right? I guess that's a lottery. But Stones at the moment does look like. To be fair, the defence looks fairly settled. Ake as well is not a player you expect Ake to play both games maybe as well. Depends where City are at the time. It depends what state the table is in, what the European situation is with them. With the European ties in the middle of the double game week, it's tricky, isn't it? That's the thing.
You see those 2 goals that Ake got for the Netherlands?
Yeah.
There's a stat about him. He had like the most touches in the box of any Netherlands player in their history or something in that game.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 shots or something. Like that. Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
He's had a very good season. You know,
he's definitely stepped up a gear.
He didn't look like he was going to be a regular starter in City's team, and he's established himself. And this happens, doesn't it, under Pep? It's like players can, to be fair, when they find form, Pep does reward them with regular starts, and he sticks by them if they're consistent. And Ake's been that this season. He arguably, you know, if amongst the defensive players, he's up there for Player of the Year for them in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, Cancelo went and everyone raised eyebrows, but it's almost like Pep knows what he's doing.
Who'd have thought it? Still shallow low, don't we? We still miss him.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I still can't believe he's gone. It's been a really weird season, hasn't it? In so many different ways. Let's take a look at some play data. Let's look at goalkeepers. It's my man, Jason Steele, right at the top, points per 90, 5.4. That's the highest of all goalkeepers with his 5 starts. Martinez in second, got the 11 points against Chelsea. Congrats to anyone that had him. And then it's Forster. Well, Lloris is back now, so he's done as an option. Alisson, not really going there. De Gea, though, is an interesting one because Shaw's injured now. If you are looking to get into the United defence, given they've got these good fixtures and the double game weeks coming up, you know, you're looking at a Martinez. Varane seems risky given his injury record. Dalot potentially, but it's probably De Gea is surely the goalkeeper of choice now. I think from now to the end of the season.
Yeah, and 5 million, it's not like a big outlay, is it? It's not a 5-5 even. So I think that you can forgive yourself for spending that little bit extra to get a United nailed on defender when they got the double and decent fixtures in that double as well. Plus, he'll get you save points. I mean, you look at it here and saves per 92.6. It's not disastrous. It's not like Edison rate of 0.6, so you can get the odd save point, can't you?
Just to put into context how ridiculous 0.6 is.
0.6 saves a game.
I mean, Pope is the next with 1.53.
Yeah.
0.6. I mean, how can a team concede that few chances? It's crazy.
He could almost just play 45 minutes and gamble all that.
I know.
Mind you, to be fair, he's been pretty awful when called upon this season, hasn't he? I mean, I should know I owned him at one point. He's been incredibly frustrating.
He did an interview the other day and he said he prefers making saves to getting assists.
Does he? He ought to try that more often then.
Firstly, I thought, what a weird question to ask a goalkeeper. Obviously, he should prefer saves. Secondly, bollocks. He definitely prefers making assists. It's Edison. Come on. He loves it. If he went up top from a corner and got an assist, he'd be milking it for bloody years.
Well, imagine he played this incredible 60-yard ball to Mahrez.
Exactly.
Mahrez scored and then he wouldn't get the assist. Imagine that.
That would never happen. Look at Jason Steele. That's how it's done.
When that assist went in, I was like, oh, did they learn their lesson? Did they have a look? I noticed it was clean, no deflection, so that's what I gave it.
What a goal that was. And that is why Jason Steele's in the team over Sanchez, so that kind of thing. I know obviously that's a very rare moment for a goalkeeper to get an assist like that, but Sanchez could never do that. His distribution just isn't as good as Steele. And I think both of them, you know, could end up leaving in the summer because I think we'll sign a new goalkeeper. But for people worried about Steele, I wouldn't be. He's got that jersey locked in. Unless he makes an absolute, or a series, I'd say now. Not even one howler. I'd say he needs to make a series of howlers to lose his place back to Sanchez. He's nailed on. Yeah,
that's good to know. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like Brighton, if they do go shopping for a goalkeeper, it's like Football Manager when you select the stats that you want as your key stats. And passing and long through balls will be right up there for De Zerbi when it comes to distribution is what
it's amazing how that's now a trait that's looked for in goalkeepers.
Exactly.
Right? not just shot stopping, but actually being able to build something out, from the back. And that obviously comes a lot from Pep's influence and that kind of thing. But yeah, Brighton have tried to play out the back for years and not really had the players to do it. And we still don't really, but the ones we've got are getting better at it as well.
It makes you wonder, like, how long are we away from outfield players retraining as goalkeepers and actually becoming top goalkeepers? You know what I mean? Like, it could be a case that a lower division striker goes, you know what, I'm going to try and retrain as a goalkeeper and then make it as a Premier League goalkeeper because they're so good with their feet.
You laugh though, but I think
okay as a goalkeeper. You look at Edison, and he's almost.
I think we'll see plenty of academy kids doing that. Kids that want to play up front or on the wing or something like that, and then get retrained as goalkeepers because they're good with their feet.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. How many years away are we from that? Because it's going that way, isn't it? It's getting to the point where if you're an above average shot stopper, but you're absolutely excellent with your feet and you can build play, you might get a career out of that. Just being an average shot stopper.
And you can earn 200k a week and make 0.6 saves per 90 like Edison does.
Exactly.
Winner. One more player to mention here is Kepa. He's down in 16th. Right. Just the 3 points per 90 for him. Obviously got the clean sheet against Liverpool. Lampard, though. Lampard did not like Kepa.
He didn't, did he?
He signed Mendy. He relegated Kepa out to the bench. I think Kepa's safe for a little bit, surely.
I think, wouldn't you? I mean, like, Mendy's got to be rusty. He's not... And also, like, Lampard will probably start cautiously and go, I'm not going to upset the apple cart too much. It's going perfectly, but...
It's a bit of a risk, though, isn't it?
A big change to come in and change...
Kepa must just be like, for fuck's sake, not him. Anyone but him. Yeah. Finally got my place back and you're bringing in the one manager that bloody got rid of me. Tried to get rid of me.
Kepa hasn't been disastrous. He's certainly not convincing.
No.
But Mendy is just a calamitous with his feet, isn't he? I mean, like, going back to what we said, he's a traditional goalkeeper, excellent shot stopper, a bit of a presence in the box. He's someone you'd back to save shots and gather the ball and come for crosses. But he's not someone who's going to build the play. And every time he gets the ball to feet, the opponent is just like, press, and they know they're going to get some joy. So Kepa's better at that. Is that enough for him to keep his place? Don't know. Let's see what Frank will do.
I mean, looking at the expected goal prevented, there's only one goalkeeper worse than Kepa.
And that's Navas.
6, which is your goalkeeper. Navas, minus 2.6 for Kepa, minus 3.7 for Navas. So
Champions League, multiple Champions League winning keeper Keylor Navas. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit concerning, I think, for Kepa. Like, I've got Steele on my bench. If Kepa misses out, Steele plays. I'm more than happy with that. But there's going to be quite a few people with Danny Ward, for example. There might just be a bit of worry, I think, that Kepa could be usurped.
Yeah.
Just want to monitor. Defenders over the last 6. Daniel Amati, number 1 with his 2 starts, and next year on penalty of 0.59. I put Porro on here as well. He's been doing pretty well. Difficult player to invest in, given that Spurs haven't got a double game week coming up. But shots per 90 is the highest of all defenders. No, it's not second highest. Perisic, the other wing back, 2.55 to Porro's 2.33. Chances created is high though, 2.33. That's second only to Trippier, I believe, in the top kind of 20. An XGI non-penalty per 90 of 0.42, so that's good. But just below him is Chilwell, who finally delivered.
Playing well.
Yeah. Must own. Must own?
I think so. I mean, like, it's great owning a wing back, and I think Frank will keep faith with the wing backs, and I think James and Chilwell are going to be, if James stays fit, are going to be pretty good bets from now until the end of the season.
You've got the triple up.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think James and Chilwell is worth having. I mean, James is. I think in the situation I'm in, if you're looking for a player who's going to burst a 15-pointer at any time, James is probably someone you would back. I don't think he's a major risk with injuries at the moment. He seems to be okay, and he's having a run. So, but Chilwell's excellent. Yeah, he's playing really well and really getting forward. I mean, James has had a stint at centre back, hasn't he, recently? So you're not getting that. I don't. Cucurella's not threatening Chilwell's start, is he? So he should start every game now to the end of the season, you'd expect.
Lampard's good for the wing backs, I think. Yeah. He likes the wing back system. Yeah. He likes James. He likes Chilwell. They should both do pretty well.
Yeah.
With him. I mean, I don't mind. I think the triple up is maybe a bit excessive for me with Kepa as well. But I think the Chilwell James double up. That could, if he can just get them scoring, because they score so few goals.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Do you see the home? No team has scored fewer goals at home than Chelsea. Is that true?
Mad, isn't it?
I think that's right. I think that's right. Yeah, nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but once again, like, you know, nothing on this table has been great all season. It's been really disappointing. We've said all season how the wing backs have let us down. At the start of the season, we look at these players as, well, they could be the real difference makers. They could be the players that really deliver on value, and none of them have really.
When Ben White's in 7th, something's going a bit wrong.
Well, he's getting forward a lot at the moment, and he's popping up in attacking areas. But you know, I don't want Ben White to be my most exciting defender. I want to sign some wing. But I mean, Chilwell's great. I mean, at least Chilwell's there at the moment, and Trippier's been a constant, hasn't he? But Trippier's almost been null and void as an option because everyone's got him. So you don't get any joy from having him at the moment, or we haven't for a while. And centre backs, you know, you're looking at, you know, you've highlighted a few here. Zuma's highlighted, but you've got Fabian Schär who's done well, got another assist in the week. Centre backs are definitely not out of the equation this season, whereas previous 2 seasons it's all been about wing backs, and we wouldn't even spend any time considering the centre back if there was a wing back option. But this season, not the case.
Took me a while to find Stones on this list.
Down in 101.
101. I couldn't even. Could you name 100 defenders?
Well, I probably could, but I'm not going to do it. That'll be the least interesting podcast ever.
100th episode, 100 defenders.
Yeah, here we go. Veltman, Pinnock.
101st, I mean, next year I nominated for 90 when Stone. I mean, he's only had 2 starts, but 0.02. The thing is, though, you know what he's capable of. I mean, we've seen him in double game weeks before, right? He's hit absolutely. Remember the 2 goals he got in that game a few years ago? That was in a double game week. Yes, I think again the stats here. When you've got De Bruyne in the team, whipping balls in, and if Stones is going up for corners, he's always got a chance of getting something. So I'm not too worried about that. But from open play, I think Ake's got a little bit more goal threat. I like them both. Ake four starts in 5. I mean, who else they could have played left back? He's been so good for them this season. I think he plays the majority. So I like Ake and Stones for City. I
mean, I'm just looking at goals. I'm looking at the season data table. I've got it open here. And it is disappointing. Like, you know, in the top 30, Gabriel's got 3 goals, and that's the most in the top 30 this season if you're ranking by XGI non-penalty per 90. Now, normally, there's 1 or 2 defenders who start getting into the realms of 5-6 goals a season. We just haven't had it. You know, and even when you look at assists this season, Trippier's got 7 this season, Perisic 5, Robertson 6, Trent 4. It's feasible we're not going to get a defender with with double figures for assists. Trippier should, but that's about it. So, you know, a top scoring defender with 3 goals.
Trent got 15 back in really 2019.
Poor. Yeah. It's poor. I mean, like, I wonder what they're going to do next season with the pricing. I wonder whether it's going to be reflected and we're going to see prices of defenders crash. Like, we're not going to see a 7.5 price defender. It's going to go down to, like, is Trent going to be 6.5? Could be, couldn't he?
I mean, I think we're going to see a wholesale of price drops, surely, because it's only really Haaland and Kane. I think you could make the case for that have really delivered on that premium price tag. But you know, everyone else is probably going to suffer price drops, right? I mean, look at Son, 12 million. He's going to have to come down to about 10 million, something like that. Yeah, Sterling, Fernandes, Salah. KDB.
I'd like to think it'll make it a bit more interesting because, like, I think, like, you might see. I think the top price defender will be 6.5 next season. There's no reason to make Trent 7 or 7.5, is there? Off the back of this,
won't make Trent 6.5.
Well, he's got 1 goal and 4 assists. Are you going to keep him at 7 million for that?
If they make Trent 6.5, that's
well, they should. What's there to be scared of? So if he explodes, then, you know, everyone will have him, but. I think it'll make it more interesting because it'll mean that if Trent was 6.5, Robertson was 6, James was 6.5, maybe Chilwell 6, you could there feasibly take a risk on going, well, I'm going to go big at the back and hope that actually that was regression last season and they're going to pick it back up again, and I'm going to gamble on that. Whereas if you make Trent 7 again and Robertson 6.5, and no one's going to go for them.
Do you remember complaining that Trent was too cheap?
Yeah, people were, weren't they? Yeah, yeah.
We were like, they've messed this up. They should have made him 8. Obviously 8. He's going to be a
I
lock
mean,
in everyone's team. Stupid decision.
where are they going to put Trippier next season? They can't make him more than 6'5", surely.
6'5".
Right.
6'5".
So he's the top scoring defender this season by some margin. Because he was what? Was he 5'5" at the start of the season?
5. He's 5.
Was he 5? Right. So
He's
they'll go 6'5", right? So if he's 6'5", the only reason you'd make Trent 7 is on the basis of the previous seasons. I think it would be much more interesting to make him 6'5" as well. Have him and Trippier 6'5". I think I'd like to see them to be brave enough to do that. Obviously, there's a risk Trent blows up. Well, you know,
your influence is very wane.
it's on the wane. It's definitely on the wane, but that doesn't make the game any better, though, unfortunately. So, is there a correlation? Well, that's up to you to make your own mind up. Yeah.
Midfielders over the last 6. De Bruyne top. I want to talk about De Bruyne.
Go on,
actually, because obviously I've got the wild card to play. He looked absolutely fantastic in that game against Liverpool. But he's been in and out of the team a little bit more than we anticipated this season. But his stats are fantastic. I mean, XGI non-penalty per 90 of 1.07. That's in 3 starts, though, over the last 6. They've obviously got that buy-in game, which he's going to play both of those. And he has been rested in the games against the weaker oppositions because Pep has chosen to flood that midfield and control the game more. And De Bruyne has been the sacrifice. So my question to you is he worth the risk? No.
I don't think he is. I think like the price you pay and the fact you've got a Grealish or a Mahrez as an option, I wouldn't go with him. I think at the moment Grealish is probably the most likely player to play 2 games in the double. Maybe Mahrez as well, but I wouldn't go De Bruyne because I think you're not. I mean, even if he did play both games at the moment, he's got 5 goals and 14 assists over the season. He is top over the season for extra non-penalty as well. 0.75 over the season, ahead of Salah 0.64. Mahrez is third, 0.58 for the season, and then Grealish has got himself 11th over the season, 0.49. And what it was, is he on this table for? Yeah, he's 21st. So there's been an improvement in Grealish's contribution in the final third recently. He's got 4 goals and 7 assists. I think I'd rather go Grealish.
I'm all on the Grealish train. I really am. I mean, De Bruyne. I mean, look at De Bruyne. You know, points per 90, 6.76. That's pretty decent. But you look at where his XGI non-penalty per 90 is compared to that points per 90. Don't quite tally up. I mean, he's not in the top 10 in terms of mids for points per 90 over the last 6, despite having those numbers. He's just not getting the points. There's something intrinsically not happening, and he did against Liverpool. Fair enough. Grealish is a bit of a points dodger as well. I think he's got 11 goal involvements this season. I'm backing him. I made a bet at the start of the season with someone from one of my long-running leagues that he would get 20 goal involvements this year.
You've lost that bet.
You think? You don't think you can get 9 in the next 9? I do.
No. Do you?
I do. Yeah.
That's a big ask.
I'm not making more bets with you. You never pay out.
The thing is, if you get in De Bruyne, you can't get Salah and Haaland, can you? That's the big factor. Whereas you go Salah and Haaland for the double game week, you probably, if you're going to go a City mid, you can't afford much more than a Grealish, maybe a Mahrez, but you're not going to be able to get to De Bruyne as well. I wouldn't have thought. So I haven't looked at this, but I think it'd be a tough reach to do that. Yeah. So that's the factor for me. It's like, would I go De Bruyne over Salah for the double game week? No, because I think unlike Liverpool, City have got other options, whereas Liverpool, where would you go if you're not getting Salah? Very difficult, I think.
Yep. Nor FPM agrees with you. No chance Grealish gets 20. Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Brighton mids, we've got March in 13th, 0.57. McAllister has slipped quite away. He was top of this by quite some distance. Now he's down in 15th. He has been dropping deep. It just has been happening, and that is the big risk with him. You know, when we were playing games in which we need more control in midfield, he is the sacrifice because he goes from that number 10 role back into that deep lying role, and he's absolutely amazing in that deep lying role. That's always been the problem. That's always the thing that I've had a little bit against McAllister is he's so good playing as that deep lying playmaker, and he hasn't got that kind of clinical edge in the kind of the final third. So it's quite easy just to bring him back and have a bit more control in midfield. So bit of a concern with him. We've got Matoma in 9 teams, 0.4 out. I mean, there's barely anything separating the three Brighton mids. If I was buying now, Matoma to me he's just so clear. I mean, what more can he do? He's getting something every week. You know, I know the stats aren't quite as good as the others, but he's the one. Right. He's the one for me.
I think you're right. I think if McAllister had stayed generating the shots to the level he was, then I think there'd be an argument. But he's clearly dropping away. So I think it is Matoma if I was going from scratch now. I've got McAllister. I'm not going to use a transfer to swap, but will I want Matoma for the doubles coming up? Yeah, I probably do.
God, what a player! Honestly, what a player that guy is. I mean, I think he's got to be the best player we've ever had at Brighton. You know, I can't think of anyone that we've had. I mean, Bruno is arguably our biggest legend. Like, there's murals dedicated to him as our captain for the promotion. But in terms of pure quality, I think Matoma is the best.
I don't think Neil Mopé's got something to say about that.
Neil Mopé is very much down the bottom of the bloody pile. That guy. Honestly, I just want to frame this moment though. It's the 100th episode of Black Box. Yeah. Brighton are top of the XG. You know, we're pushing for Europe. We've got players that we're talking about as great options. I mean, look at our front four: Ferguson, Matoma, McAllister, March. That they are in their absolute prime. We've got Casado in midfield. We're going to get decimated in the summer. I just want to enjoy this moment right here before all those players leave.
Oh, I get it. It's, you know, Brighton are a feeder club, and so probably it's going to go. But
at least we've got players to be fed, unlike Forest. Buying everyone.
Yeah, you'll probably be in for Brennan, I imagine. Will be one of the clubs.
That'd be a good signing.
Looking at him. I enjoy it. I mean, I think it's fantastic seeing the players that Brighton have got, and I mean, I don't blame you for soaking it up, but maybe not every week. No.
let me live, Mark. It's not going to last for long. Just a couple of other players to mention. You got Fernandez down in 28th out of midfielders, not very good. John up at 90, 0.4. Maddison, highly bought, including by myself, 0.38 over the last 6. Jared Bowen as well. I was seeing people buying him. Good punt, I think, for the double with the 2 home games.
Yeah, disappointing, wasn't it?
But he has been such a disappointment this season, hasn't he? I mean, he got 20 goal involvements last season for West Ham. Just doesn't look the player that he was back then. Don't know what's happened.
No, and Maddison, like you said before, really pretty disappointing as well. Only 1 assist in the last 6 starts. I mean, you talk about Leicester going down. If that's all he's going to generate, they are going to go down. Because if you said to anyone, why wouldn't Leicester get relegated? They go, well, they got Maddison, don't they? Well, 1 assist from 6 starts is pretty.
The thing is, you take Maddison out of that team. Tielemans hasn't been fit. The rest of the team is awful. Like across. The strikers aren't gelling. Daka, Iheanacho, Vardy, they're in and out the team every week. The midfield, Dewsbury Hall, picking up a yellow card. It's
over the season, Maddison's got 15 goal involvements and 21 starts. Excellent.
Yeah.
Then in the last 6, 1 assist from 6 starts. So when you need him most to pull it out, maybe it's a fitness thing. When isn't he carrying an injury? He probably is at all times. He's probably managing injuries.
But you can't expect him to do everything every week. Like it's he needs other players. Like when Maddison has a bit of a dip in form, what other player in that team can pick up the mantle and drive Leicester to a win? There's no one, absolutely no one in that side. Tielemans would be the only one in that team that could do it. Not only has his head probably been turned because he wanted to out in the summer anyway, but then he's had the injuries as well.
I mean, Barnes has chipped in with 10 goals.
Barnes has been all right. Barnes can hold his head up high, I think. But yeah,
what do you make of Willock? He's revival at 4-7. He's showing the kind of form now that he had on that scoring spree when he first.
He got like 8 games in a row or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I like him. But then he was benched, wasn't he? Benched against
this is it.
West Ham. They got options. They got so many options. Newcastle. Really, really tricky to know who's going to start. Wilson, Isak, going to be battling out for that striker spot. Willett and Murphy's had a really good season, been playing really well for them as well. Yeah, and the midfield is, there's so many options in midfield. He's not really a contender for me.
If you were looking like, I mean, I've got to look at it now. I think I've got to try and find a couple of players that are perhaps differential. Where are they? Where would you say they are? Do you think there'll be a player who will come good in the last part of the season? We talked about already. I think it's Grealish. Yeah. Okay. Could be. Yeah. I mean, you don't think like a Bowen or no, I guess Zaha's not going to. Someone who's in a relegation team suddenly going to have a burst of 5 or 6 goals in the last 7 or 8 games. Can happen.
It can happen. Yeah, it can happen, and there'll probably be one. But looking at this list, it's hard to go against. The double Brighton mids. I put Grealish in there. Saka as well has been so strong. I think Salah's with the 2 home games, could be decent. But these are all players that we all know. I'm struggling to see anyone who's going to emerge as a really strong differential for me. It makes
me wonder whether, like, if you stick with someone like an Odegaard, whether that could be a differential in itself, because people are going to move away from a player like Odegaard because he doesn't have the double, and yet there is no doubt that Arsenal are going to be full tilt to the end.
Well, I look at that West Ham game, West Ham game in 31, and I think the people that have still got, the Sakas, the Odegaards, Martinellis, people are buying Jesus. He's one of the most bought in players this week. That could be a really profitable game for them because West Ham at home. I mean, look what happened to them against Newcastle. They just completely fell apart in that second half. Arsenal could put them to the sword.
I think that might be the way I go. Is like maybe go back to Odegaard and put faith in him or something. But I've got to do something a little bit different. I can't just go the Brighton mids and Salah because everyone's going to go that. So you've got to find something, haven't you? So an Odegaard or Martinelli might be the way to go because I don't think many will go back that way because their heads will be turned by the double game week. But I think that an Arsenal player in a single game week with a good fixture can easily outscore the double game weeker. It's just you need that backload.
Yeah. Forwards. Let's take a look at some of these. Callum Wilson at the top of that. Excellent double game week for him. If anyone had him, fair play. Obviously, there's the huge risk with him and Isak, who's in 9th in terms of XGI, 0.90. Wilson with 1.07, Isak with 0.61. I mean, Isak gifted a goal by Fabianski.
West Ham in that game.
Jesus.
They can only hope that that's all their mistakes out their system for the rest of the season because it was absolutely disastrous. I mean, like, I've never seen a team capitulate with errors in the way they did. And see, the West Ham fans were leaving with like 20 minutes to go. It's emptying. It's like, blimey. I mean,
the thing was at half time, they were 2-1 down, playing well.
In the game, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that they could go on and get another one. And then I can't remember a team making that many individual errors. I mean, Aguerd with Fabianski. Kerr was awful in that second half as well. Really
and even like the Joe Linton goal when he was played onside, that's an error as well. It's not coming out. It's like, and the West Ham fans, I mean, of course it was 4-5-1, and I guess you can't blame them. But that ground is hard to get. It's hard to have that. There's no intimacy with the crowd there. So Moyes needs that home backing because they could get dragged back into it from what I saw. So. Yeah, that was poor. That was bad. I mean, Newcastle were a good side. I mean, Forest saw that, but they beat us 2-1 and they scored last minute. At least we made them fight for it. So I look at West Ham and think they're not out of it yet, based on what I saw there. So,
agreed. I've highlighted Alvarez in second, just because not only because his XGI on 0.90 is high. I don't think he's a real option for us fantasy wise, but does his form make Haaland a less good option?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, and this is it. It's like the European. Pep must know that he can beat most teams without Haaland. I mean, they used to play him without that.
So good against Liverpool.
Yeah, so he must know that he doesn't have to push Haaland to play every game, even though he's got a title to fight for. And the European situation is obviously the factor, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to move for Haaland this week. I look at it and think, well, if I don't go this week, I've got to go next week. And Kane will have to go for me.
Same.
To do it in one move. Kane's got Bournemouth next week. He's got Brighton this week. So which game would I... if I keep him this week because he's playing Brighton, he could easily blank, and then I'll be getting rid of him for the Bournemouth game. So I've yet to decide what to do. and I guess there's a lot of people in that boat as well. I could easily hold and then see how Kane does.
Tony to Haaland is the most common transfer I'm seeing from FPL world. Tony's down in 70, 0.49. Loves a goal against the kind of top 6 sides. The United game was a bit of a blippy. I think he scored in all the other games against some of the top sides this year. But obviously he's got the 9 yellows. He's got this impending gambling ban, which is coming at some point. So I can see why people are looking to jump off him. Kane's got Bournemouth at home in a few weeks. So I think if you've got both, Tony is the one that I would be losing.
It's because of the 9 cards, isn't it? That's why.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Kane is down in 19th. The penalty, the penalty masked such a poor Spurs performance. It really did against Everton. They were so bad in that game. Conte's gone. There doesn't seem to be any identity to that team at the moment. They've got no doubles. I can see why people are losing Kane, and that's the move I'm looking at doing is Kane to Haaland.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense. I think it's just Haaland's minutes, but I guess he doesn't need many minutes, and it's a good fixture, Southampton away, isn't it? I mean, he should get on the pitch, and in 15, 20 minutes, he could get you a goal quite easily against Southampton. So I think that's what I'm going to do, regardless of whether I think Haaland starts. I think it's still a move worth doing.
The good stats for a lot of these forwards. I mean, Ferguson's in 8th, 0.62. That's high. There are some concerns around his minutes. He's our first choice striker, I think, but there are, he's 18 years old, and Welbeck has been playing well when he's come in. So there's still a bit of a threat of rotation, but he's 4.6 million. Trouble with Ferguson, he takes up that Brighton spot, takes up that second mid spot.
Yeah, and ideally you want Steele or Stupinan and 2 mids, don't you?
2 mids, yeah. But I do like Ferguson as an option. Watkins is in 7th, 0.64. It's high. Havertz 0.65. These are good underlying numbers for the forwards. And what is so good about the forwards is when they score, they get bonus. I mean, look at the amount of players that came off the bench and got bonus over the double game week. I think Mateta played 4 minutes or something and got bonus in that game. Players even they don't. The bonus point system is structured towards giving.
Well,
forwards
if you're Watkins or Arteta and you're playing in a team which doesn't have people that are magnets for BPS, then yeah, because Watkins scores, he's most often going to get the bonus because there's not defenders who necessarily generate BPS in a clean sheet. So as you look at other teams. I mean, Tony's the same, isn't he? He's not in that Brentford team who's going to accumulate BPS. They haven't really got a midfield creator or a attacking fullback who's putting in loads of crosses who's going to capture BPS and a clean sheet. So it depends on the team. But yeah.
But to put it in context, Mateta played 4 minutes in that game against Leicester at the weekend. He scored the goal. He got 26 on the BPS, and that was free bonus. So you're right. That's 26 BPS is quite low to get that many bonus points. But at the same time, to shoot in 4 minutes, to shoot up to 26 BPS, just that goal, just one goal.
If you look at Ferguson, by contrast, he has scored 4 goals in the last 6 games, and he's only got 1 bonus point. And the reason why is because he's playing in a team with McAllister, March, and Matoma, right? Yeah. So it only applies to strikers who are playing in teams where there aren't competitors for the bonus. And you look at Watkins at Villa, Tony at Brentford, they haven't really got too much competition, have they?
I think you still expect 26 BPS to be in and around 1 bonus, though, wouldn't you? Right?
Maybe. But
about
Palace
30 would be.
Palace are devoid of anyone. Yeah. I mean, even Zaha's their best player, and he loses the ball so often, he gets minus figures for BPS, doesn't he? So, yeah, it depends on the profile of the team, definitely. But yeah, Watkins, that's why Watkins is so good as like Tony. He's a consistent point scorer, and when he scores, he should get at least 2 bonus. So,
well, Tony got 3 bonus in the 3-3 draw against Brighton, for example. Yeah, it's definitely way too much. I don't know why I'm going on about Mateta like he's not even on this list, I don't think. if I haven't played enough minutes.
He's fourth. Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Oh, 4th. Okay. What, 2 starts? Yeah. What a goal. What a goal it was against Leicester, though. Love that. Clever touch, little turn. Boom. I can only dream of doing that in Game Week 39. Predictions. The predictions are a bit moot. Not going to lie, Mark. You've missed out on so many now. You're about 30 predictions behind me.
And I've gone below 50%, so yeah, I'm willing to call it.
let's just we can just
void
call
for the
section.
season.
Yeah.
No. We'll keep going. You haven't improved, so we'll definitely keep going. You're at 46%, so you haven't got much better, have you? Well, I've been missing, so let's see how we do this week.
It's been a bloody nightmare. Coming to the fixtures. Let's just go through these. So United Everton, first of all. I've gone for a 2-0 United. You've gone for a 1-0. I thought about this for a while because I saw a lot I liked from Everton in that game against Spurs. I thought the pressing was top tier, some of the best pressing I've seen in any game this season. And that has been United's Achilles heel. But then Brentford couldn't really get that going against them, and United won that game 1-0. United is just a different beast at home, so I've just gone for a comfortable United win in the end.
Yeah, it's Everton not providing the goal threat, I think, which persuades me that United will win this, but I don't think it'll be an easy game because, as we've seen with Deitch, Everton can put a barrier up. And yeah, I've gone for a sneaky 1-0. I think United win. I just don't see Everton scoring.
Sneaky 1-0. Villa Forest, very rare for you to go for a Forest loss, but you have. You've gone for 2-1 Villa. I've gone for 3-0 Villa.
We're so poor away from home. I mean, when is it going to change? Is it going to change? I mean, it's just so frustrating because at home you can see the fight in the players, and they've at least got an idea and a system of how they want to play, and it's all about obviously countering. But away from home, you'd think counter attack would be effective, but we're just so meek. We lack so much confidence, and when we do win the ball in transition, we don't do it with any degree of bravery. I mean, for me, I think Shelby's got to play. I think Shelby's one player that has got. He always looks for a killer ball, maybe sometimes, but at least he shows courage when he's in possession. He looks for a pass that's going to be incisive, where we got so many players who just look to pass sideways or pass back, and we end up just passing it back to the centre-backs for the full-backs to eventually just knock it long. There's no building through midfield because none of the midfield want it. No one wants the ball. Shelby's the one who at least comes and gets it, looks up and tries to find an incisive pass. So for me, let's play Shelby. I actually think the front three, Dennis, Johnson and Gibbs-White, can cause teams problems. So I think we might get a goal, and we might hopefully at last see a bit of fight away from home. But we'll see.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because they've asked Cooper about it, and he's addressed it and said, look, we know we need to do better, we're working on it, blah, blah, blah. But nothing he seems to do works. There doesn't seem to be any...
No, and that's why his job's in question. I mean, I can defend him all I like, but you'd think by now he would have come up with a system, even with a much changed squad, with new players. He's got them playing in a decent way at home, but away from home, you'd think his job is to get a system and a set of tactics that can get results away from home. And for one reason or another, he's had no success, and there's been no sign of improvement. It's not like we've seen it gradually get better. It's every away game, it's the same. And that's why it's hard to go, well, you can see why the owner's going, well, where's the progress away from home?
Yep.
He should be able to, by now, at least instill some kind of stubbornness away from home. If it's not, goals, at least look hard to beat, but we just don't.
Yep. Brentford Newcastle. Both gone for a Newcastle win. I've gone for 2-1. You've gone for a 3-1.
Yeah. I think Newcastle at the moment look so
impressive.
Strong. Yeah. And they've got Isak and Wilson who are both fighting to get in that team. So you think there's goals there. So I think that's a surefire away winner.
Yep.
Brentford are kind of seeing out the season now. They've overachieved, and they'll probably fall back to like a 9th and 10th position and settle there, and they'll be happy with that. More than happy with that.
They were so lucky against us. Just get free, and the goals they got were clever. A free kick, a corner, all that kind of stuff. But we created enough chances in that game to win that game comfortably. Yeah, very frustrating. Fulham West Ham, we've gone opposite here. I've gone for a West Ham win. You've gone for a Fulham win. Yeah,
I mean, this is Fulham without Mitrovic. When that Mitrovic ban did a lot of Forest, a load of good, didn't it? Because I look at this and think with Mitrovic, Fulham win this game quite easily. Without him, it's going to be a struggle. I think Fulham have got it in them to nick a goal still, and I don't know where the West Ham goals come from. And I think you've got to look at that result against Newcastle. I think that it might impact them. So This is a very tough one to call. It's definitely Garden Centre if this was a live game. No doubt about that.
I just think there'll be some reaction from West Ham in this one, and I think Fulham's a good opponent without Mitrovic.
Oh God, yeah.
He's like you say, we know how important he is to the system, and I think West Ham will just nick it. Leicester Bournemouth, Garden Centre. You've gone for a 0-0 with this one. I didn't know what to do with this one. I don't think it'll be a draw. I think one team will nick it 1-0. I've gone for Leicester.
I just think that they'll be happy to just play. I mean, Leicester need a win, don't they?
Yeah.
So I think Bournemouth, let's not lose this. And
it's a disaster if they don't win this, for Leicester.
Well, they are in trouble if they don't win that. I mean, but the thing is, Bournemouth could easily go and win that. I mean, the way Leicester are in terms of confidence, and Bournemouth.
Well, like you say, it's the system. Bournemouth have got a system. They're good from set pieces. They've got Solanke up front. They know to play to him. Leicester haven't got that. It's get the ball to Maddison and hope for the best.
Yeah, and he's not doing it.
And he's not delivering. Yeah.
So I think, I think if anyone's going to win it, I think I'd back Bournemouth, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I've gone for 0-0.
Yeah. Spurs Brighton. I've gone for a 1-0 Brighton. You've gone for a 1-0. We're a better team. We're a better team than Spurs. We should win this game. We scored loads of goals away from home. We're going to put them under pressure. They won't be able to deal with it. Come on. This is a fucking massive game for us, this one. And I think we've got enough. I think we've got a better midfield. I think we've got a better attack. Defence is both pretty poor. They've got Kane, which is the
I'm having a coughing fit because you've reached the threshold of mentions of Brighton, and so I can't take more of it.
I tried to play it off. They won't come through in the pod. But yeah, Mark was literally dying.
Coughing my heart up there. I guess there's another one that's hard to call. I think you'll take a draw there. I just think that you'll score first. They'll peg you back, and
that sounds likely. To be fair, I'm backing it. I'm backing the win. Wolves Chelsea. I struggle with this one as well. I wanted to give it to Chelsea, but I think Wolves score at home, and then I just can't see Chelsea getting 2 at the moment. You've gone for Chelsea 2-1. I've gone for a 1-1.
I can't back Wolves to get anything from this game because I just don't want to back Wolves full stop. But
no.
After what I saw at the City Ground, I wasn't impressed with Wolves. I wasn't impressed with them. They don't look like scoring, and they look like if you've got something about you, you can score goals against them. Forest should have scored more than one goal. You're right about Chelsea. It's like, where are the goals coming from in that team? But I think that Wolves have got mistakes in them. So I think that they're capable of scoring 2 goals. I maybe where Wolves is. I just think Chelsea will have too much and they'll win this game. I actually think Wolves won't score now. Looking at it, I probably should have gone 1-0 Chelsea or 2-0 Chelsea, but I think Chelsea win this.
I think Wolves score. I think Wolves score. I think Chelsea need 2. You could be right with the 2-1. Southampton City, both gone for comprehensive City wins. 3-0 for me, 4-0 for you.
Hard to see anything else, isn't it, really?
If it was nestled around the Champions League games, you think maybe there could be a bit of rotation, be a bit leggy. City aren't as good away from home as they are at home. But Southampton are really poor. Just really, really, really poor. I mean, the West Ham game sums it up, doesn't it? They lose to West Ham, and then West Ham get smashed by Newcastle in the next game.
Yeah, it's funny because, Southampton, Forest, Bournemouth, if they're the 3 that go, none of them have looked like whipping boys for any sustained period of time. But you still look at them in any game at the moment and go, well, maybe not Bournemouth, but certainly Southampton and Forest at the moment, and it's hard to see how they're going to get a result. And Southampton at home to City, no. I mean, in seasons gone past, Southampton have had a bit about them and cause City problems. I think they have done in the past, but I just don't see it in this game. I don't know where the goals are going to come from, and they look somewhat naive at the back, and I think they'll have far too much for them.
Yep. Leeds Palace, we've gone the opposite here. I've gone for a Palace. Hodgson effects. You've gone for a 1-0 Leeds. Yeah,
I like Leeds. I wouldn't want them to go down. And I think that they've looked good under the new regime, and he's playing them in a more pragmatic way. So I think they're not conceding as much as they did do under Marsh and Bielsa, of course. Palace, where the goal's going to come from, that's always a problem with them. So I think 1-0 Leeds is where it's going to
And then the big game of the week is Liverpool-Arsenal. We've both gone different directions here.
Liverpool, what?
I've gone for a Liverpool win.
On the basis that Liverpool, you can't predict them and they've got the talent to do it. And...
Yeah, Liverpool at home are a bit of a different animal.
Yeah,
I'm backing Klopp giving a dressing down to those first team players and then reinstating them in this game. And I really want Arsenal to win the league, but I think there's going to be a slip up or two from them, whereas I don't think we're going to see that from City, and it's going to make it close. That City-Arsenal game is going to be so key, and Liverpool have the edge on Arsenal historically at Anfield, and it plays a part. The crowd are going to be up for it. It's going to be a really, really exciting game. I've just tipped it to Liverpool. I mean, going on form, obviously Arsenal are the ones you'd back, but I think there could be an upset here. I think Liverpool nick it.
Don't see it. Arsenal too good, I think. Yeah, they'll be ready for this. They'll have too much for that Liverpool defence. I think Liverpool score, and there'll be periods in the game where Liverpool are in it, but I think Arsenal will just find the killer touch more than once and in that game. Not at a canter, but I don't see Liverpool having enough to keep them out. That's the thing. It's defence.
Yeah.
It's defence. And Arsenal have certainly got enough to keep not a malfunctioning Liverpool attack, but I don't think it's a fluid Liverpool attack. Well, Arsenal, Saka, Odegaard, Jesus, it's too good. They know what they're doing. They're going to dismantle Liverpool, I think.
We've seen it before, though. Before the United game, we both backed United to win that game, and they didn't. We've seen them against against Newcastle, sorry, and they won that game kind of in the last few minutes.
Yeah, they've got it in them. They've got it in them, but you're talking about Arsenal here, who are...
It will be a shock, but not every game can go the way we think it's going to go. And I think I think there could be an upset this week. I could be completely wrong. I've now had a bottle of prosecco, so
yeah. And you got 46% success rate on your predictions this season as well. So just saying.
Some point out in the chat that a coin flip would be better than us. Accurate.
Charming. Yeah. Arguably, yeah.
Arguably. Captains this week. Look at the captain matrix for the next 5 weeks. Haaland, Saka, Haaland. Yeah. Good. Nice to have that back. I think Rashford v Everton's a great option. I think Watkins v Forest is a great option this week as well. But Maddison v Bournemouth potentially would have been a few weeks ago, but not so much now. It's Haaland or Rashford for me.
And this is why when you're talking about, well, when do we get Haaland back, you've got to think about it, because not only the double in 34, but even before that, even 33 at home to Arsenal, yes, there are other options, but, Rashford at Spurs maybe, Salah at West Ham, you're not going to do that. A Brighton player away at Forest, you might do that if you don't support Nottingham Forest. But there's no real massive candidate that leaps out even in 33 when Haaland plays Arsenal. I guess you've got the Arsenal game at home to Southampton. You definitely want to have Saka or the like for that. I mean, if you haven't got Saka, you're going to worry.
That's a good point.
Him. But Haaland, looking at that, I think you've got to have him. I think you've got to have him because you've got to have him ahead of 34. But even before that, there's a very strong come. I mean, Haaland at home to Leicester could do damage. I guess it depends on expected minutes, but we know he can do enough in an appearance off the bench. So, yeah, this just says to me that if he doesn't come back this week, he's got to come back next week.
Yep. Agreed. Looking at the data, captains data. So over the season, Haaland's obviously top. XG on 90 of 0.8. You've got De Bruyne 0.75, Salah 0.64, Kane quite a drop off 0.53. Over the last 6, De Bruyne. I mean, well, I experimented at the start of the season with De Bruyne over Haaland. It was awful the first week, great the second week, and then awful until I eventually caved and bought Haaland in. I think there's, like we talked about earlier, I think there's too much of a risk with him given that he's been benched previously against these kind of lower end of the table players. I mean, Watkins is the interesting one. I mean, 0.64, Aishon on pennies per 90, guaranteed 90 minutes, whereas Haaland potentially isn't, and Haaland has had a worse non-penalty XGI of 0.58 than Watkins in his appearances. Haaland is back in training. He's there's training pictures of him today linking up with De Bruyne and playing well. I think it's pretty certain he's going to start that match. I'd be amazed if he dropped out of this one. he's the opposite captain choice for me. But I mean, Watkins is a intriguing option, right?
Yeah, if again, I can't back Watkins as a Forest fan. Really, I don't want to do that. But if I wasn't, Watkins would definitely be in my consideration. And I think for most he will be as well. I mean, Rashford is the way to go. I think if you must go a differential, and I probably will think about that. I think if Haaland was a certain starter, certain to get 70, 80 minutes, you wouldn't go against him. And if Europe wasn't a thing as well, I mean, Pep's going to have one eye on that from now until the end of the season. If they go deeper into Champions League, I'll probably go Rashford, I think.
Oh, really? Over Haaland? Well, you bring Haaland in and
possibly,
captain Rashford?
Yeah, possibly. Because it's like, well, I'll be keeping Kane against Brighton, and I don't want the dilemma of having to sell Kane against Bournemouth, really. Don't know. It's going to go to the wire, but I think I've got to... I don't really want to go Haaland captain when the majority will go that way. And I think Rashford at home to Everton is a decent differential without taking a huge risk.
Yep. Looking at the opponents over the season, Bournemouth are the worst both over the season and the last 6. So that promotes Maddison as an option, but like we've talked about, he hasn't delivered attacking wise. His stats aren't that amazing. It's difficult to engage. Now Everton second worst over the season and last 6. That obviously promotes Rashford.
Yeah.
Forest are there as well. It's actually quite consistent over the season and the last 6. I think actually it's completely consistent. Look at that. That's a perfect 7.
It is,
all in a row. So Forest are third worst if you are looking at Watkins. Southampton are 4th, which is surprising given how poor they've been and how few points they've got. But defensively, they had their moments. They were in the top 4 for a bit in terms of those defensive numbers. As well, and then Arsenal, have been really good defensively, so they're right down the bottom. So if you're thinking of Salah or Nunez, might be worth. As I said, I think it's between Haaland and Rashford for me, potentially Watkins. That's it.
Yeah. I think it's those 3, isn't it? And I think if I wasn't a Forest fan, I'd probably go as far as going Watkins just for the differential. I think he will score.
Yeah.
But I think Rashford will. I mean, If I thought that Haaland was going to play 85 minutes, I would definitely go Haaland because I'd be scared not to. But I think Rashford or Watkins are, especially if you're trying to push for rank, then they're good options this week. You can bet against Haaland, I think, and the risk isn't as huge as it would be next week when he's settled back in the team and it's home to Leicester. And I think Leicester could capitulate, couldn't they, at the Etihad? That's the worry, and it could be a massive score. So, and he's got that extra week of training, which you'd think will help. So, I'm going to go Rashford, I think.
Yeah, good. Right, let's come on to your team. I'm going to leave you with your team because I have got to go for a week. This bottle of Prosecco has gone
right through you.
Gone right through me. So I'll leave you to talk about your team, and then I'll come back in 2 minutes and decimate it.
Yeah, okay. Decimate it, will you? Okay, we'll see. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I mean, the Shaw injury was unforeseen, and it would have looked strong without that. But it's likely that he's not going to. I mean, from what I saw today, the reports I saw today, he's going to be a major doubt, I imagine. So I think I'm going to have to try and figure out: do I want McAllister in or Botman? And I probably will go McAllister in because of the penalties. And yeah, as says, away from home, Brighton are showing plenty of ambition, so I don't think it's too bad to play McAllister. And then it's the Chelsea triple up at Wolves. That could easily go awry, cause one Wolves goal, and it all goes out the window. But actually, I do think Chelsea could keep a clean sheet there. And in Chilwell and James, you've always got attacking chance, haven't you? So I'm okay playing that. And then midfield is fine. In any other week, you'd think Maddison and Bruno would be strong. Home to Bournemouth, home to Everton. Form would suggest that Maddison probably won't get anything, and Fernandes is playing really deep, so perhaps they're both going to blank, but I don't mind taking them in. Rashford probably will be captain. Saka at Liverpool, you're always going to play him, and then up front, Watkins and Kane really strong, but Kane will probably make way for Haaland. So I think overall, with McAllister coming in for sure, I'm all right with that. It's a lot hinging on whether Wolves score at home to Chelsea. If they don't, then I'm in for a good game week, I think. So I'm all right. I'm okay.
I'm glad I wore the suit trousers.
Why? Because you went out, yeah?
Yeah. Because there's people asking if we were in jeans or whatever. I'm not going to say what you wore.
I'm wearing pajama bottoms. Yeah, I'm manscaped in pajama bottoms. No, I'm not. I'm in jeans.
Yeah. I did go full suit.
You did.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really have anything to rip into your team. By the way, it's you wildcarded like what 2 weeks ago, so it's looking pretty good.
It's all right, isn't it? I think Shaw won't play. McAllister will come in, but I'm okay playing McAllister at Spurs. You think that's all right, don't you? He might get a pen, mightn't he? He might be a little bit deeper, but it's all right. Yeah. Would you play McAllister over Botman and Johnson?
You haven't got Botman.
I have got Botman at Brentford.
Oh yeah, well, you're not playing them though. You're on the bench. Oh, you're talking about bench order.
Yeah, no. If Shaw's not playing,
I see.
McAllister to come in, right?
Yeah, you play McAllister.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Yeah, you got to. Although you do think Forest are going to score, and if they're going to score, sure, yeah, Johnson.
But there is a point where you have to let head rule heart, don't you? So while I'd love to go Johnson, it's not like Johnson's going to go mad and get a hat trick, is he? So
no, I think you're fine.
Might miss out on a goal.
You're fine to keep Shaw because I don't think it's a long-term injury for him, and you've got any 3 of those players could come in and potentially do a job for you. So
yeah, and it'll be Kane to Haaland. I think I probably will do it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, my team is how I'm. It's not massively dissimilar to yours. It's there's a lot of us have the same teams. Kepa, Chilwell, Trippier, Henry. Not ideal playing him, but it's him or Zinchenko or Botman. Salah, Rashford, Maddison, Matoma, Kane, Watkins, Tony. So yeah, I mean Kane to Haaland's my obvious move for a free. That is probably what I'm going to do, unless
you're not going to wildcard.
Well, I've got a wildcard team here, which I'll show you. So if I was going to wildcard, this is the... So I did a video for Scout earlier. I made a couple of changes off the back of that. This is probably the kind of thing that I'd wildcard into. So it's about 6 changes. So I'd bring in De Gea for Kepa, essentially, because I think he's the goalkeeper of choice between now and the end of the season. I'd bring in Stones, because I've been talking about him. I'd bring back Saka in for Maddison, although I think Maddison v Bournemouth isn't a bad game, but I want Saka for that West Ham game, and you don't need to talk about Saka. He's fantastic. I'd bring Grealish in as that kind of left field punt, and then I'd bring in like Estupinian instead of Steele, for example, because I couldn't play De Gea and Steele in those games they've got. Yeah, I'd bring in Van Dijk as a kind of a Liverpool cover for the good fixtures they've got and the double home game. And I'll go for Kane over Salah if Salah's got that kind of injury. If Salah's fit, then he'd be instead of Kane. So it's not incredibly exciting. It's just making a couple of tweaks here and there. But I don't really know at what point I'm going to be... I don't think there's going to be any point in this season with the team that I've got that I'm going to be making 10, 11 changes.
No.
So this team lets me get in, I think, is the best goalkeeper. It lets me triple up on City when people are going to go in for 1. It lets me kind of optimise what I think is the Brighton... 3 to have, which is Matoma, McAllister and Estupinian, and then lets me get Saka back in because that Maddison experiment was a bit of a disaster. So it's not massively exciting, but I think it does strengthen me for the running.
Yeah, I guess your only fear is you're going to wildcard away from a better score is the one fear, isn't it?
If Salah's not fit though, then there isn't really anyone.
Yeah, it's like you said, you almost want Salah to be ruled out so it triggers it.
Exactly. I mean, looking at this team, who are the players that could I think De Gea is better than Kepa. Tony, could go off, but realistically shouldn't. I'm bringing Saka back in. Maddison could do well. I mean, there's always potential.
It's Maddison, Salah, Tony, the ones that could do damage, right? And I guess like Kepa could keep a clean sheet at Wolves easily. So it's not going to destroy that wildcard team. I wouldn't have thought. You might come out a loss, but you'd be unlucky too. So
if Salah's fit, I keep this team, I think, and I wildcard game week 33.
Yeah, okay, right.
If Salah's not fit, if we don't, and if there's kind of doubts around him, I think it just makes sense to move that money out and
I guess what I'd say is the closer you can wildcard to 34, the better.
Especially with Liverpool as well. Like we know a bit more about what team is going to play, what Klopp's thoughts are, that kind of stuff. So
City as well. It's like Pep's changes like the weather, doesn't he? So at the moment you think, well, Grealish looks a sure bet, but that could easily change if Foden clicks again, and you wouldn't have thought that would happen, but you just never know. We've seen favourites come and go for Pep all season, and Grealish at the moment is flavour of the month and looks nailed on. But we said that previously about Foden, and that evaporated. So I think the closer you can play the wildcard to 34, the better for City as well, because you just
the key moment of Grealish was that tackle he made. in the game against Liverpool when he came in from,
Yeah, you can see Pep loving that, can't you? Yeah, I think that I guess it's just underwhelming when you're only changing 5 or 6. But like you said, at this stage of the season, when are you going to be wanting to change more anyway? So
yeah, I mean, I look at this team and I don't think it needs a wild card. I mean, Kane to Haaland is an easy move. Henry isn't ideal, but it's only a defender. It's not the end of the world. The rest of the team's pretty solid. So if someone sent me this team and was like, do I need to wild card this week? I'd probably say no. Yeah, exactly. But I think there is potential in some of the upgrades I can make. But yeah, we'll see what happens with some of the news.
A couple of greens hopefully for us. We'll keep creeping up.
Yeah, I think so. Free hitting 32.
Yeah, I mean that's a given, I think, isn't it? With the way it's set up, it just falls so nicely to make build your team for 34, free hitting 32. If you haven't got the free hit left, it's really tricky because it just hamper what you can build towards 34 because of the blanks. So yeah, but I think in our situation and in many people's situation, that's the right route to go. What's your target then? 50k?
Yeah, I think 50k is a good target because it's not crazy high. It's kind of like achievable. I'll be really happy if I got it. If you were to offer me top 100k at this point and just move on to next season, I'd probably take it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like if I can get top 100k, I'll be delighted with that. I just want the back of this season, really. I look at the last 9 game weeks. Nothing really excites me, sadly. I don't, I will have to try and do something different with the free hit. Hope that I can try and go into 34, 1 or 2 differentials. But I don't look at it at the moment and think, there's real potential to get on some differentials between now and the end of the season. I think it's really, we had a look at it earlier when we tried to go, where's the differential? And it's like the best we could come up with was going back to Arsenal when perhaps others won't. It's not easy, I don't think, to make up ground. So I think I'm going to struggle to get 100k, but we'll see. It could all change. Like a differential might emerge in the next few weeks. So we'll see.
I've got a question. I was listening to 5 Live and they do this thing, which is like they offer you a choice of something happening, but there's always a catch, right?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Well, your thing is you beat me this season.
Yeah.
So you overtake this 44 points and finish ahead of me, but we both finish outside the top 100k. You take it?
I'll take that all day. Yeah. No hesitation whatsoever. I don't mind finishing outside the top 100k if I beat you at all. Good. No doubt. I love that all day.
Good. Yeah. Didn't even ask where we finished. We could both be 1 million.
Yeah, I don't want to go 2-1 down to you, which is what it will be, right? If you beat this season, it'd be 2-1. So
I've got to get that first season was horrible. Being
behind you. It puts the pressure on going in 2-1 down next season. I'm not giving up hope of catching you. I think I've got my work cut out, but you could easily just get it all wrong and collapse.
You know me well.
Easily.
Yeah. I will say at this stage we've got 1,009 people watching live, which is amazing. About a quarter of those have liked the video, the stream. Please do give us a like. We do appreciate it. Do give us a subscribe as well if you haven't already.
If you're new around here,
you might have noticed Mark's little thing in the background hasn't updated. 29.1k.
I know. I've changed my.
I called that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, absolutely. Techie old as. He knows his tech. He really does. He's come on a bundle.
Come a long way since you've been off every bloody stream.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So, getting somewhere. Very impressed.
Yeah, and we'll come on to the Black Box Leagues now. Ali Jahangirov is still top of this. He had a bit of a disappointing week, though. 116. I think he'd already played the bench boost. But he is still...
Here. Look at the game week scores.
Yeah, massive. So he was the lowest in the top 10 with 116. He's still 22 points ahead of Joanne. How's Owen in second, 139. But yeah, I mean, massive scores. Oyson Valovic, Mark Bleakley, Vinnie Kang, Chris Glover, Vicky Davis, Alex Keating, Alex Jones, and Tom Apidell, all with scores over 135. Yeah, big week. But Ali, it's not a good week for him, but it wasn't a disastrous week.
He's hanging on though. Where is he in the world? Where in the world? Where is
Ali Jahangirov.
Doesn't really have a ring to it.
Doesn't at all. No.
Let's see where he is. He might be.
I think he's like third. He's fifth.
Okay, this is FBL Guns, who was on. He's been on a few videos. He was on Focals, wasn't he? Was it Focals?
Yeah.
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 So he's 5th in the world, very much still in this. It'd be great for him to be a BlackBox winner. So,
I mean, he's 5th in the world, but 8 points behind first.
So he's only in our league and Mates League at the moment, and yet he was on Focals videos. So he's, that's good of him.
That's very good. Loyal.
He's on Chasing Green Arrows, which is Gianni's league as well. So there you go.
Oh, Ali went for a Madison captain.
Did he?
If he'd captained the Matoma, Rashford. In fact, looking at his team, he's got João Felix in there as well. Tyrone Mings. He's still got Martinelli. Yeah, he kind of risked it a bit. Shame.
Yeah, fair play to him though. If I was 5th in the world, I think I'd be playing safe with the Rashford captain, but he went something different. So that could pay off. We'll see. We saw it last season, didn't we? When the winner took a few risks at the end. He captained Son a few times, and it came in for him. So Jamie it was who did that, and that won him the title. So
absolutely.
We'll see if Ali does the same. It's always fascinating, isn't it? When you get to this stage of the season, you start paying attention to the teams at the top and what they do. And we've never been there, and so we don't know how we'd play it. But I always find it fascinating to try and get into the minds of those who are kind of trying to win the thing and what they do. So I'll be watching what Ali gets up to and see if he stays that brave. Yeah. And if he does, I hope it wins it for him.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Coming on to a more somber note. A charity that Mark and I are both supporting, with the kind of the 9 weeks to go till the end of the season, is Luke Johnston, the Just Giving page. You might have seen me mention it last week. Essentially, they're trying to raise £150,000 to help fund a vaccine, which will give a longer life for Luke. Luke is a member of the FPL community. He's been on Scout streams before. He's a good friend of Gianni's as well. He had surgery on a brain tumour. Sort of recently, young guy, young family. There's a link to the donation page in the description below. I know it affected you, this one, Mark.
Yeah, really hard. Yeah, it's really hard. That was devastating, really, when obviously you don't want to hear that of anyone, but when it's in the FPL community and it's someone we've had contact with as well. Move on, I think. It's quite sad.
It is very sad. But there's a link in the description that you can donate to. And obviously all the donations are appreciated. They're trying to raise money for this vaccine, but obviously if they can't raise the money, then the money for that goes on a bucket list for Luke as well. So which should be amazing, wouldn't it, for him and his family. So yeah. So do donate, give whatever you can. That's it. 100 episodes, Mark.
I know.
100 episodes done.
To go. And it's been a funny season. I've got to try and claw those 41 points back between now and the end of the season. It's not over. I did think I had momentum, but you've stolen it back with your decent score without the wild card as well.
Well, it's scary to think that if I hadn't stolen those 20 points back, you'd be 20 points behind me.
Yeah.
I don't like this. I was like over 100 points.
Yeah, I know. So I've done well, and I've got to pat myself on the back for that. But there's still enough game weeks left for me to catch you. And like I say, you're always you're not far from a mistake. So
Thanks, Mark.
Your blind faith in Brighton might be your comeuppance. We'll have to see. But looking back on this season, it's going to be a weird one. I think for both of us, it's like we've had our struggles, and we might yet steal some respectability from it with ranks. I think we will, but I don't think either is going to look back on this season and go, "Oh, that was enjoyable." It's been a
slog.
It has been a bit of a slog. I think like both of us have made some mistakes over the season, and it's going to be interesting to look back on where those mistakes were and try and learn from it. I think that I don't know if this is where it's going to be from now on, as in, are we going to see the likes of Trent and Robertson and Reece James be massive factors again, or is it going to be like this from now on? Is Haaland going to absolutely dominate season after season? The other heavy hitters really haven't got close to him enough. Right? Salah hasn't quite done enough. De Bruyne hasn't quite done enough. Kane has been consistent without being explosive. Are we going to see this next season, or is it going to change? And the problem's the pricing we thought when we looked at the pricing that wasn't right, and it might cause a problem over the season. I think it has at times. So I think going into the next season, I'd hope that they get the pricing better, and also that there's one or two other heavy hitters that give us more dilemmas, and it's not always, perma Haaland captain like it was in the first half of the season. It's been better the second half. I think Rashford stepping up has made that difference.
Yeah,
Rashford
the last 4 to 5 weeks have been the best weeks of the season by far out of all 30.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remain optimistic, although my ability to kind of focus on FPL is somewhat hampered at the moment. So
that's the next. I mean, it's been great being back with you and doing this stream, but it's difficult to know how many more we're going to get in between.
I know. I mean, I don't know how many more I'm going to do before the end of the season. It's really tough for me to get. It's the time it takes to prep the show, but also just coming on the show knowing that you haven't really had enough time to focus on FPL, and it's like. It's hard for me to put myself forward as someone who can give advice when I haven't really had that. I mean, I know that I sink hours into thinking about it when I'm not doing research for it. I'm thinking about it and thinking about my options for the team. Whereas at the moment, I can only really spare those moments on a Friday evening. And we can't do the show on a Friday evening because it's too late really to do that. So I'll probably do a few more scout vids. I think I'm doing tomorrow, but I don't know how many more episodes of BlackBox I can do this season. We'll have to see because it's that family, work, hobbies triangle, and right now FPL is a hobby and it's third on that list. And at the moment, because work is pulling me one way, I have to compensate and spend more time with my family to make up for the time I'm spending at work. And then the third one is your hobby, and at the moment that one's losing out. So it's the right thing to do, but it's not great for BlackBox. So apologies to people who make comments about me not being on here often enough, and I know that I want to do more, but I don't want to come on and not, be at the level I should be, which is someone who is right on it, thinking about FPL 5 or 6 days a week, if not researching it 5 or 6 days a week. So forgive me if I haven't sounded on it as much tonight, but that's because I'm not, to be quite honest. And that's where life is. And sometimes that happens, right? I think if you play FPL, it's become so much more kind of an obsession for people, hasn't it? With so many more content creators and many more people playing it. And I think it's reminded me this season about what it has to be in my life at the stage I am with my family and my job, that it can't be like it used to be. It can't be like so much a dominating factor. I've got to kind of make that trade-off at times, and one of those times is now, unfortunately. So yeah, but hopefully I'll be back for a few more episodes before the end of the season.
Hey, like so many times with you, it's often a trade-off. The taming of the mock Southerns is something that I've endured over the last 100 episodes. But you can't argue with that. Obviously, the family and work commitments come first. I'll be here. I'll be plodding on with, I mean, depending on what happens with you. I mean, it would be nice to get a regular kind of, I guess, a Gianni or a Luke or a Andy or whoever's kind of available for it to... getting a different guest in each week has its merits because it's quite fun to listen to different opinions and stuff. But at the same time, it's also a lot easier to build chemistry and build a relationship with someone who's willing to do it each week. So we'll be in talks if you can't make episodes, and I think we're going to discuss off air what's going to happen.
Contract negotiations.
But yeah, obviously the two of us is always the preferred option because 100 episodes, majority of which we've done together.
Yeah,
and it's been a good ride.
It has, and I look forward to a time when I can get back to kind of dedicating a lot of hours to FBL again, and feel like I can come on here and be the old self, because it's I don't welcome where things are at the moment, and nor do my family, but I've got to do right by my day job, and it's it's necessary at the moment. But I think that I'll be back for sure, because FBL means too much for me to kill it off.
I'm just saying, I met a guy a few years ago. I was playing golf, and there was a guy driving a little golf buggy around, and he stopped off and he was selling drinks. I bought a drink off him, and he said, "I'm the happiest I've ever been." And I was like, "Oh, why is that, mate?" And he was like, "I used to work at the Shard. I was on like 150 grand a year, hated it, packed it all in. Now I drive this golf buggy around." That's your future, Mark.
Yeah, well, that would be nice. I mean, it's I did FBL full time, and it was a lot of pressure. and you know, I ended up having to get out of that, and people question why I did that. And it sometimes, be careful what you wish for. I found doing FPL full time really hard, really intense, and it made it not fun. Whereas,
well, I did too. I mean, I was working. I was at Scout, and now I've left, and I can. It wasn't as intense as the role you had with them, obviously, as the kind of owner. But when the hobby becomes a career and a job, it does take some of the fun out of it naturally. Yeah.
I think for me, while I've been doing BlackBox, FPL has been more fun because it's been just a hobby, something that I really sink a lot of hours into. It's just at the moment I can't do that yet at the moment, but I want to get back, and I will get back. And yeah, just a word to FPL merch. You sent me these. Have you seen these on the internet, Twitter, like these?
I've got myself some as well. Yeah.
Look at that! I grabbed 3 1K finishes there. Sorry, that was by accident. I didn't mean to.
Right, who can we get into the mark?
Oh, hold on, no. 4 1K finishes.
Can't even remember how many.
But yeah, so that was good because Ross sent me those, and you know, I'm feeling low that I can't really spend as much time to FPL at the moment. When he sent me those, I looked at those and I put them out on the table. I went, I've got to get back, and I've got to get back and add to that, and it gave me a little bit of it.
The amount of messages I send you, one bloody gift from merch, and you're all nostalgic.
I know, but I don't look at what I've achieved playing the game very often. So when you get that, it kind of like maps it out, and I put them all out, and I went, blimey, I've done all right in the past. I mean, years gone back in the day.
I hate this.
It makes me think
as you got all your poker chips out and 1K. I am good at this game. Maybe I should.
Well, it makes you think. Well, I don't want to like drift away from the game. I want to, if anything, I want to renew that passion I had for it back then. So I might not be able to do it right now, but it will come back, and I'll be back, and I'll be trying a challenge for a big finish.
Well, we're at the 100 club, but it doesn't mean we're not going to get the 200 club.
No, very much so. We're going to try, and 1 year, one of us is going to be. Eventually, I do believe one of us is going to be in like the top 100 with a few weeks to go and pushing. Hopefully, that would be great, wouldn't it? So.
I should have been me last season. I really did mess that up towards the end. Such a shame.
Could have been. Yeah. Maybe next season. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah.
Good. Right. Well, we will call it there. I've had a bottle of Prosecco. I feel all right, to be fair.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
One toilet break, one bottle of Prosecco.
One toilet break. Yeah. I rarely have a toilet break. Last time I had a toilet break was Trent's goal.
No, you've done a few.
I have
your memory's gone. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. Anyway, I hopefully will see you before the end of the season. I'm going to try, but if I'm not here next week, the week after that, I'm sure you'll have someone marvellous on here with you. And thanks for kicking over. And to the listener and the viewer, I hope to see you soon.
Yep. I'll be back next week with someone. And I look forward to all the Wes Mark comments, which we tend to get. Cheers, everyone. See you next week.